the new agents coming to the team, I want them to realize real estate is a 60-hour work week especially if you're just starting, and be next to somebody who can teach you, because that's the quickest way to grow.
No, it is. And I think a lot of agents or even small business owners, they don't see the value in coaching, which is really what that is. They don't want to pay for it for some reason. But that is a way to get it for free.
Yeah.
And learn and get, free coaching. But they won't want to either give up a commission or take a lesser salary. They say they'll just figure it out, maybe watch some YouTube videos.
But it's the long way around.
Yeah.
It's a long way around, or people want 100% commission, and I'm like, all right, well, 100% of zero is going to be great, but I can give you 50% of a lot more, than that you could go get on your own. But people I don't think they look at the big picture until they're on the struggle bus with it. But yeah, I mean, even with, helping on transactions that don't benefit you, or going and showing for one of your teammates where you're not getting a monetary benefit for that, like your leads and brokers see that. And the next time a deal comes in, or a lead comes in that they know would close, they probably would give it to you when you're a team player and like helping others. So that's the biggest.
So it's a service mentality. That's a recurring theme.
Yeah.
Is that we see, with those who are successful like yourself, is, when they have that service mentality, they're just helping others. Therefore, my high school's mantra was men for others in my high school. So, but yeah, being of service. Yeah. And then, and everything comes back around.
It always comes back around.
So speaking of the struggle bus you mentioned,
okay,
share a time, and and maybe there wasn't. I'm sure your career, I'm sure everything was perfect for the last, no flaws, no trip ups. But what was a time when either it could have been a struggle in the business or a personal struggle that really, some real adversity that you had to face, and how did you overcome it?
I mean, I touched on, I think it would probably just be when my son was sick, but it was like a 2 years, super rare autoimmune disease, but like he's had half of his right lung removed. He's had bone marrow transplant, grafts, like bone grafts, rods, like all sorts of stuff. But because I was good at work, not so good at dealing with that emotional battle, I did double down on work. And I think now I regret probably working as much, but also knowing like, well, I have to still provide for my family and everything, and handle that. But that was probably the toughest because, I was running from Jupiter to Miami is 2 hours. So I was like constantly commuting back and forth and trying to pretend everything was okay. And I'm like, try to pretend like we're all good. That's probably my biggest.
Yeah, I do that. We all do that sometimes. I mean, sometimes when we're workaholics, like you and I, it is easier to just work more, and as long as you're working and then you can make some wins over here, then somehow we justify that it's better on the other side. But you're right. We all have some regret when we look back, and maybe would have done a little differently.
Probably should have done that a little better, but a
little differently. But we're here, and he's healthy now, and strong, and so everything's good.
Yeah.
Okay. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Where do you see your team of 6?
I need more agents, but that is internal. Well, it's not very internal because I talk about it all the time. It's something I'm really struggling with because I know we do need to grow. But I also am so nervous about the culture changing inside my office. Like everyone on my team has become a good friend of mine too. So I don't want to mess that up. I want everyone to like feel like a family still in the office, but also if I don't scale, my business doesn't move forward and I'm just going to stay where I'm at. But at times I'm like, I don't know where I'm at's not that bad.
Right. But that's those some people call it the complacency W. Yes. We all face that where things are okay, or in some cases pretty good.
Yeah.
But if we're not growing, sometimes we're shrinking by default. So, but that's so, that's something I guess you'll have to wrestle with it, because the reality is that the culture will change. you know, unless you're very intentional and you're bringing in, you know, one agent at a time, not like this is our next group of 5 agents that we're onboarding this month. You know, that's a quick way for the culture to change. But you can, you know, bring it in slowly and get acclimated. And that's going to be a slower process of growth.
Yeah.
But if...
So I think for us too, because of all of our systems and marketing, I really feel like we have it all together. Like I look at it and I said to you, I don't want to add anything new. Like in 2023, I really feel like we do such a good job at what we do. We have so many inbound leads. I don't pay for Zillow. I don't pay for Realtor. Like the only thing I pay for are my mailers and my digital farming ads. And, you know, the agents on your team at certain points, they're content and fine with where they're at. So we have all these inbound opportunities that, one, I do truly feel like we're the best agents in our area. So like I want clients and leads and buyers and sellers to be serviced properly. Like I think they deserve that. Like these are my neighbors, right? So I always want to help everyone. However, with the amount of people we have, we're capped.
Right.
So that's where I know I have to.
Right.
I know I have to, or else, you know, it.
Yeah, because the thing is, so the way that, you know, one and approach, and the way I share with, you know, our agents is that if you truly believe that you have the best system, you have the best process, you provide the best service, then you have to do everything. You have to do everything in your power to get that client's attention, so that you can serve him or her.
Yeah.
Because then if not, then you're doing a disservice by that client going to ABC instead of coming to the Wolfe.
Well, the amount of like, you know, horror stories you hear in real estate of how people were treated, or you can even see online when somebody asks for a real estate recommendation, and you get the keyboard warrior saying, yeah, just do it yourself. You know,
Right.
I don't blame people when they're upset about it. They just had a bad experience, right? They had a bad agent. And I don't want that to be the industry reputation. I don't want my neighbors to have a bad experience.
You don't want to have to go to the next aisle when you see them in the grocery store. Oh, well, there's Mr. Smith.
No, so we try to, you know, that's just part of the struggle with the growth. And I just know it needs to happen, aside from my coach telling me every day of my life that.
Okay, so we know it's happening. So what would that look like? Would it look like 2 more agents, 10 more?
I probably
can Jupiter support?
Oh yeah, we genuinely probably need to be around 8 to 10 sales agents in my office to not have the missed opportunities and the missed, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good stuff. So we know the horror stories. We've heard several of them. Share a real story that you had, either that you experienced. Either it could be a client story or, you know, something that like a crazy story that you had with a client.
Okay, like a bad one?
Yeah, probably that would be, something that hopefully didn't end bad, but if it did, then that's the story. You got a lot of them. You're trying to pick it.
Well, yeah, you know, and you always think like you'll never forget about it. Like it was so bad, and then you kind of also
you force it out of your memory.
Yeah. I think the biggest one was from 2021 was a lawsuit that one of my clients was getting sued by his buyer. And on our team, like I would never represent a seller and a buyer. Dual agency is allowed in our area. But like I would always make somebody on my team, even if they called me directly, even if they came in the open house. Like I want there to be that clear line.
So they have some representation.
So they used our buyer's agent, and my seller couldn't have been a nicer human being. The guy got his inspection, said everything was fine, totally fine, and moved on. And then he ends up suing the seller for like $100,000, and then starts threatening us. And just like, when I say threatening, it's a man threatening an office full of girls. And we're like, okay. And he lives in our neighborhood, and now he's like threatening all the neighbors and stuff. And he's from up north. And I'm like, how the hell did I sell to a monster? Right. So I think that lately has been my worst experience. I'm just like, I wish I could
undo the transaction.
Well, I wouldn't have known too, because it was like right before the pandemic started, and just like it was not great timing. And, you know, the seller needed to sell, and, you know, it was an offer. And I just wish, especially because it's in my neighborhood, I wish I would have known that it was crazy.